Your product looks cheap and untrustworthy. I will never forget that. That is a video that I was watching once of a woman that was actually scrutinizing my product listing. And it all took place because of a guy I met named Matt. And Matt is the founder of ProductPinions, and I'm bringing him on today's show to talk about the value of split testing, and then also to talk about how you should have people criticize your listing so you can make changes in order to increase conversions. Now, I started working with Matt because he was an active part of my Facebook community, Amazon PPC Pros. And as an active part, we just kind of started talking more, and he continues to give value over and over again. That's why I love talking to Matt. And he said, hey, I'm coming out with this new software called ProductPinions, and you can go visit it at productpinions.com, or we have an affiliate link down below. Now, with that being said, he provided value. He just gave value. He just kept serving me. And little did I know, I thought I was going to be helping him out by helping get his software into the hands of my audience. But little did I know that he was actually going to help me out, because what he did is he did a case study with my brand Hydrate. And he had 100 people, and he took videos of them going through my listing, and he showed me these videos. And that's when that woman said, your brand looks or your product looks untrustworthy and cheap. And so what we did is we decided to do a rebrand. And Matt is actually a branding expert as well. And so he actually did the rebrand for us, and still grateful for him for that. And the rebrand that he did for us, it converted almost 2-to-1 compared to our old branding. Our old branding was white, didn't get as high click-through rate, and our new branding was dark blue, and it got much higher click-through rate. So I wanted to bring on Matt to talk about what he did in our rebrand for Hydrate, and he'll show you some examples with that rebranding, and then also he'll talk about his software as well. So we're going to be going over split testing. We're going to be going over just the value that having people critique your listings and surveys, and how to split test photos very quickly, bullets and everything. Now, before we jump in, you're probably going to notice that there are a few other people on this call. This is our mastermind. So when you're watching this video on YouTube, we actually recorded this months in advance. And if you wanted to join our mastermind, it's only $99 a month at the time of this recording. And you just go to profitablepineapplefarm.com, profitablepineapplefarm.com, and you can join there. Like I said, it's $99 a month, or a one-time fee of $14.97. We get together every week, mastermind, talk through business strategy problems. We bring in guests that are experts in their field. And then we also have courses inside there as well that teach you how to automate your Amazon PPC, how to build a real brand, how to build your audience, and more. So profitablepineapplefarm.com, go check it out. Without further ado, let's jump into this interview with Matt. All right, so we do have a guest today. And the reason I'm bringing on this guest, Matt has been providing value in our community for probably 4 years now. Is that how long we've known each other?
It's been a while, yeah. Right on.
We actually met in person for the first time like a year ago at Prosper. And little did I know that he is actually taller than me. And did you guys know, if you've never met me in person, I'm 6'2". And so Matt was actually taller than me, which I was like, whoa, you're even taller than me. So it was kind of shocking. But Matt, actually, the reason I'm bringing him on today is because he started a software company called ProductPinion.com. And ProductPinion is a split testing software, but it also does so much more. And the funny thing is, when I first started working with Matt, I thought I was going to be helping him out, because like, hey, you've got this software, I've got this audience, let's just bring you in front of the audience and see what happens. But little did I know that Matt was actually going to be helping me out more, because he really does have this service heart and he just wants to help. And he pretty much did a full rebrand of my brand Hydrate, showed split testing results. We did videos on our product page listings and got our listing just butchered. And so we then made branding changes to help double our click-through rate, essentially. And he did all that himself without me even asking. And then we actually started implementing that branding change. And when I stopped working for the parent company, we were about 3/4 of the way through that rebrand. And so it's going to pay off sizably in the future. But even the products we did change, it was a big difference in click-through rate. So that's why I brought Matt on. So Matt, without further ado, take it away.
Hey, thank you for having me. And yeah, I get that reaction quite a bit. Like, after you meet people on Zoom, you don't really get a gauge of how tall they are, right? So in person, everyone's like, whoa. But right on. Okay, let me share the screen here. So what I'd love to talk about today are two main types of tests. There's user testing, and then there's split testing. And then there's also Amazon's tool as well too. And it kind of all goes hand in hand. Some of the examples I'll be sharing, I mean, you know Travis's brand, obviously, but also feel free to, if you have questions, that sort of thing, throw them in the chat, let me know. Happy to answer whatever questions it might be. Quick background on myself. I'm also an Amazon seller. I like to say I was selling on Amazon before it was cool. So probably like 8-9 years ago, where you could throw anything up and then magically the income starts coming in. And I love how we were talking earlier about differentiation, because I feel like that's the name of the game now. It's obviously, you guys know, you can't just throw something up and hope for the best. You have to play a little bit smarter. And testing lets you actually do that, and lets you actually figure out what matters to your people. So without further ado, this is what we'll be going through. So basically, what is user testing, why it's important, what you can test, some examples, and then how to use ProductPinion very quickly if you choose to use it for user testing. So Amazon user testing in a nutshell is basically watching how people shop and actually interact with search results. So I've also been selling on Amazon for 8-9 years. I've actually been in software for longer than that too. And user testing is done in software all the time. It's like getting a screencast recording of how people interact with the software. Like they click the button, why did they do that? And they're speaking out loud, trying to answer why they're doing what they're doing. And it's really interesting. I was using this for my Amazon listings, and I found it super helpful because it gave me an extra pair of eyes of, what's wrong? What can I make better? And interestingly enough, it didn't really exist for Amazon sellers specifically. And then that's where the idea for ProductPinion kind of came to be. So typically it's like a focus group style where you're just asking people, but it's more on an individual, like one-on-one basis. And essentially it's just that you're recording their screen as they're going over, say, your Amazon listing, a competitor's Amazon listing, or even search results, where they can tell you, which one are they most interested in, and why. And this stuff works. This is what the big guys do, right? So a big famous example is Mattel actually came up with the idea for Barbie based on doing this kind of like shopper research and focus groups, which is kind of cool. So why it's important, there's a few reasons. I mean, number one, you want to figure out why your competition is selling and use that to your advantage. And there's a lot of interesting things that you get to learn once you're doing qualitative research versus, obviously we're knee deep in the data, into the software, but getting that qualitative feedback gives you some insights that you wouldn't otherwise have. The other big thing is you start to understand what actually matters. So people sometimes create products and they differentiate because they think that differentiation will cause people to buy, but unless you're talking to shoppers, unless you're actually getting feedback from people, you don't know if that differentiation matters. And it also gives you ideas, right? So now you're basically figuring out, what are the variations? What are the other line extensions of the products that your shoppers are already demanding? And also know what's worth testing, right? So instead of just going blind into a split test of, hey, I think this random thing A versus this random thing B is worth testing, you'll get so many ideas from shoppers being like, hey, maybe if you did this, that, and now you're actually testing things that would actually matter and make a difference when you're doing it. At the end of the day, it's all about making data-driven decisions. So don't go at it alone. I know as an Amazon entrepreneur or a product brand creator, a lot of times it's, your staff is a total of you. This way you have an army behind you that can help make you make the decisions and make better decisions faster as well. And of course, you can make more money, like I mentioned. You're not leaving money on the table. And in 2017, over $2 billion was spent on this kind of market research by the big boys. So that being said, what is it that you can actually user test? Well, you can actually pretty much test everything throughout the customer journey, everything from your product idea to search results, to your own listing, and like I mentioned, to your competitors as well. So for example, if you're at the idea stage, you have a prototype, you could ask shoppers straight up, What problem do you think this product solves? Why wouldn't somebody buy it? If you could change anything, what would it be and why? And now you're starting to get that qualitative feedback, that extra pair of eyes on the prototype that can lead you to a much better and bigger successful project. Side note, I also really love Kickstarter. So I've done a few Kickstarter projects as well where I haven't even had the product created yet. And it's all about asking the community, what do they want? And it's cool because they're giving me their money first, right? So I'm able to create the product with them. And with ProductPinion, you're able to do that without all the legwork of the Kickstarter.
And I just want to mention one thing, that we used to do this with Google Ads. And so using a software like yours is so much better because it's the quality is much better of the user base, and also the actual data that you get back. We used to just throw up two headlines though on Google Ads and see which one just got better click-through rates. So we'd try product 1 versus product 2, or bullet 1 versus bullet 2, or something like that. And so doing something like this, the quality is just so much better.
Yeah, and Google has something called Google Surveys, and similar idea where you can actually just ask whatever question you want, but it's expensive. I think I paid about $400 for one test to come up with the brand name of a particular product, right? So lots of options out there. I also really love search. So if you don't even have the product up on Amazon yet, you can just get people to look at the Amazon search results. Ask people like, what product would you click into? Why? Click into the top 3 listings. What do you like? What do you not like? What are the most important features and benefits? And now they're telling you, they're pouring their heart out. And the other thing I want to mention too is like getting feedback from friends and family are great, but obviously they're super biased, right? There's a big difference when you have someone who they don't care about your baby. They'll tell you if your baby's ugly, right? And you need that as a brand owner, because sometimes you completely forget that you deal with it so much that you forget to see around the edges. And obviously you can search, you can test your Amazon listing too. So send people to your Amazon listing, ask them like, hey, how do you think the product images could be improved? Is there anything not clear? Why wouldn't someone buy the product? One of my favorite ones is, do you trust the brand? Why or why not? And they're like, do I trust this brand? And obviously most products we're selling, people we don't have that brand recognition like the big boys. So getting them to articulate why they do or don't trust the brand is huge. It gets you a lot more idea into how you can make it better.
And that was where I heard your product looks cheap and untrustworthy. I was like, oh, okay.
Ouch. And I also love doing it to the competitor listings as well too. So basically you're figuring out what people like about the competitors and what are the key things and why they're selling so well that they're selling, that you can put into your listing as well. And similar idea, like why would you not buy from a competitor? What are the top 3 benefits? And then you're able to hone in on the things that actually matter. So some cool examples that come out from doing a test like this. This is basically someone searching for Amazon search results. So we know Hydrate, and one of the competing products is We Love Eyes, right? And what was interesting with this is a lot of people gravitated to We Love Eyes for the simple reason of the title. The title had vegan and cruelty-free in the We Love Eyes title, and people were like, "Oh wow, that's great! I'm gonna look into that one." And when you think about it, if you did your traditional keyword research, you wouldn't find vegan and cruelty-free as a top keyword search result inside of whatever software you're using for the keyword research. But having those key terms in there actually made people interested and excited about the product. So it's just an example of something qualitative that can come out of, having eyes on a search result. So another example, when you're actually viewing an Amazon listing. So in this case, this person has a shower cap, right? Really, really simple product. And basically what you get back is like, you get a screencast recording. They're going over over the listing, telling you what they like, what they don't like. One of the biggest issues with this particular listing was, so the shower cap was reversible. But if you think for a moment, why the heck would you need a reversible shower cap, right? I had no idea. And it was the same was true for a lot of shoppers. They're like, I don't understand that feature. And what comes to light is if someone's confused, they bounce. There is so many more listings on Amazon for them to go through. So in some cases, if your feature is almost too confusing to explain, it's almost better not to explain it on the main images, because you don't want that confusion in there. So this is what, as she had said, it doesn't make sense. I don't care that it's reversible. But then something that we were able to do is do a better explanation. So instead of just saying, hey, it's reversible, here you get 2 caps in one. You can keep water out for the leave-in treatments. Who knew you want to keep stuff on your head wet like that? But apparently it's a thing, makes a lot more sense, and did a lot better on the listing for that. Again, no size reference, so that was something that's really important for this product. So instead of just the random pictures, we called it out specifically. Long hair, don't care, works with all hair sizes and types, right? Tons more insights came for a bunch of the videos, right? So machine washable, they want more patterns. The listing needs more ethnic diversity, right? So people actually said like, hey, like what why is it there ethnic diversity? And why long hair is important and that sort of stuff. So all this came from just doing, like, I think in this case it was under 10 user tests of the current listing. And now all of a sudden you have a go-to, you know exactly what you need to do to make that listing better. In terms of results, immediately conversions increased once the listing was updated. So another one was, this one was interesting as well too. So someone was doing another screencast recording of the search results for eyelid cleanser. And something that was interesting was, even though Travis was winning the the sponsored brands up top and the products and brand and sponsored products right there as well, people were overlooking his listings and were going to the darker products. They were clicking into the ones on the left, ones on the right, the ones highlighted there. And the reason is, a lot of the times, is the packaging just, it doesn't stand out as much, right? If you're doing all white packaging, Amazon has an all white, more or less, background, kind of blends in. So one easy way to combat this is update the label, right? Make it a darker label, make it stand out a little bit. Ran it through some split tests. It was slightly better. Like, people prefer the label, the darker label anyway, besides just color. And then doing that, doing some other tests on the logo and that sort of thing, basically led, like Travis mentioned earlier, to the rebrand of the products going forward. So the other example I wanted to give is a personal example. So like I said, I was doing this before, ProductPinion. I was using a site called usertesting.com where you pay like $50 per test. I actually got an idea for a patent based on one customer's feedback on, like, hey, why don't you just do this? And I was like, damn, that's a good idea, and not something that I thought of initially. So and that's led, it's a very generic product, and it's led to a whole bunch more sales because I have that feature, all from that one shopper, which I probably should pay a royalty to or something, but we'll see. How often you should test? Well, obviously more often the better. Who's going to be more successful? It's the one doing, a few shots on net, or 52 shots if you're doing it, every week or something like that. And, small wins compound over time. So if you're just improving a metric by 1.4% every single week, that metric actually doubles in a year. So every incremental gain starts compounding and making you more money as a seller. So how to actually do this? Like I mentioned, one of the more popular ones is usertesting.com. Since I've used them, they've actually went super enterprise, so they're kind of expensive. There's other software tools as well. Loop 11 is a good one. It meant more for software, but it works. You can use it. Another one's Userlytics, similar idea. And then, of course, ProductPinion, which it's specifically designed for Amazon sellers. And it helps you basically get that feedback to figure out what matters most. And then, very quick, how to set up a user test in ProductPinion. Basically, all you would do is go to Pinion videos. You go new test. There's a bunch of templates for you. So being an Amazon seller, we have some ideas of what questions to ask, and we try to make it easy. One of the ones I enjoy using is objection handling test. This first setup is all internal. So essentially, this is just for your notes, because once you start doing a bunch of tests, you want to keep things organized. So what do you want to learn from doing this test? Helps you reference what it is that you're trying to figure out. And then, for example, you can put the product name in here. I had another one on there. Doesn't matter what that is. And then this is what the shopper will actually see. So you can give them some context of what they're looking at. You give them the URL. So here's where you put in, say if you're doing a prototype and you don't have an Amazon listing, you can put in a shared, Google Drive link, Dropbox link, whatever, and you ask them the questions. And then back, you get 3 to 5 minute video of them speaking out loud, answering these questions. And that's it. Simple as that. You can also pick your demographics. You launch it, and within a few hours, you get some feedback for some user testing feedback. Were there any questions on that before we jump into the split testing side of things?
Hey, it's Dr. Travis Ziegler, and I wanted to thank you for watching this video. I just wanted to take a brief couple seconds to let you know about a free Amazon PPC masterclass that I have. Just head to profitablepineapple.com to sign up for that free Amazon PPC masterclass, or you can click the link down below in the description. I'll see you inside.
Matt, I have a question. You mentioned that in the software, it actually has some referenced questions. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It has some predefined questions. So for example, like if you switch the test type, so if you did like a competitor research test and you go on to the next page, then these questions will change. But keep in mind, you can change them as you see fit, right? So up here, it's pretty generic because we want to make sure if you don't change this, it still works, but you can give them more context. So it's like, hey, I'm doing this product, I'm the brand creator, like whatever context you want to give a shopper, you can do that.
Awesome. Yeah, this is great.
A quick question.
Yeah.
Sorry if I missed this, but where are you getting the pull of people from that we're actually like reaching out to through this platform? Where are these people coming from?
It's a good question. So that's like that was basically the first year of developing the software, is getting enough pool size of people to be able to make this work. So we're up to, I think, just over 20,000 people. We get them from a variety of sources, one of which is also, selling on Amazon with multiple brands. I'm big on collecting emails. So I already had like lists of thousands of people who've purchased products from me in the past. So the shoppers that we use, they actually get paid as well. So basically what ends up happening is once the test comes out, they get like a pinged SMS notification, hey, do this test. And then the first people that are in to do it get to do it, and then they get paid for actually doing the test. So that's why they're also, they're unbiased. They get paid either way to give you good advice, bad advice, doesn't matter. And there's also a feedback loop. So for example, if you get some results that aren't great, they get flagged. Certain number of flags, they get kicked out. And if they do a good job, we also pay a bonus. So there's that positive feedback loop that's always going on to make sure our audience is good. Okay, so just hopping into split tests. And how many here have actually run a split test before as well? I think, yeah. So a lot of people have done it. So again, we'll talk about, what it is really quick, why it's important, what you can test, and some other examples as well. So split testing is basically showing different options to a large group of people and figuring out which option is best. Why it's important? Well, you can make faster decisions. So speed to market always wins. One of my first products on Amazon was this little thing. So it was basically adapter for everything, I think for the iPod at the time. And what was interesting was, putting it on, it sold really well, really fast, but there was zero differentiation with it. So I think I was up to like $2,000 in sales a day before other brands kind of hopped on there and took it over. And if I was split testing, I could have probably figured out how to make it differentiated and not get drowned out by all the competitors. So you're able to make better decisions. We have what's called the curse of knowledge. So this, just for example, before we moved, I didn't have that faceplate cover in my office. I completely forgot that it was missing the Facebook cover, right? Like I've seen it every day. It just kind of completely, went out to my mind. But once you are so familiar with something, you're familiar with your own brand, you're familiar with your own product, you start to lose that ability to think critically on how to improve it, how to make things different. So getting another opinion, getting another set of eyes is mission critical to make it possible to make more money. Stop leaving money on the table. If you've never done a split test, I can guarantee you're leaving thousands of dollars out there for somebody else to take. Once you start doing this, you start making a heck of a lot more money as well. So if you have a product that's doing about $2,000 a month, one test can easily get you an extra 5% in sales, right? If you're doing your main image, great way to get more clicks. That gives you easily extra $1,200 in your pocket. And then obviously things scale up the bigger your sales are. So you're doing a $30,000 a month product, an extra 5% means an extra $18,000 in your pocket for that year by doing the testing with it. So it basically, sorry, Travis, did you have something?
I was just gonna say, and that's going essentially straight to your bottom line, because you're not changing anything else, and you're just changing the conversion rate and the click-through rate. So that's increasing. And so it's essentially just straight profit. Yes, it's going to show as revenue, but it's essentially profit that you're getting there.
Yeah, right on. It helps you unlock growth very quick. It lets you not spread yourself too thin. So what a lot of sellers do that I think is a mistake, they go to launching like product after product after product without actually optimizing what they have. You all know the time, energy that it takes to actually launch a product, right? It's not small, but compared to the time and energy it takes to optimize what you already have, it's crazy how much more of a return you can get based on effort with the two, right? So optimizing what you have, the effort's pretty minimal to come up with a few variations, has a huge outcome on your sales versus, hey, we're not making enough sales, let's launch another product, which obviously has a much bigger effort in place to make happen. So what can you test? Again, similar idea, think customer journey, everything from the idea to the listing, even to the unboxing experience and your insert cards, you can all do tests for. So obviously with the listing elements, your hero image is going to be number one, right? That's how you get people into your listing. If you only tested one thing, that's the thing to be testing. You can also be testing your secondary images, your infographics, the headlines, the guarantees that you make. So, hey, based on these two guarantees, which one is more attractive to you? The order of images as well, which ones are more important? And you can even test pricing too. If you're in the product research phase, obviously your brand name. So what ideas you have for the brand name. For the Hangry Nut, they were testing also the the color palette, the scheme, that sort of thing, which is really awesome to be looking at. Your packaging, and like I mentioned, your product inserts as well to capture those emails.
Thank you for your help, by the way, on that.
Yeah, no worries. I saw I don't know what it was. It just I tuned in. I'm like, oh my god, we got to ask 200 people and figure out which one is the one to go, right? So that was
I really appreciate it.
Some examples. So here, this week we call the sequence benefit test. So this works almost all the time. If there's one test that you're going to do or one change to your listing, do this. Basically, if you have an infographic that it has all these benefits kind of like all over the place, what you want to do instead is actually list them by number. So call out the heading, be like, these are the top 5 reasons why you love the product. And list 5. And the reason why, or 4, the number doesn't matter. What matters more is that they're actually numbered. Because what ends up happening, and we see this in Pinion videos too, when they're going through the infographics, they're like, oh, okay, number 1, they read it. Number 2, they read it. And because, people like completing stuff. So if you give them a place to start looking, which is naturally number 1, they're going to complete, finish reading all of them. And the more they read, the more content they take in, the more likely they're going to convert into a customer. So do this. Like, if there's one big takeaway, do this. Number your benefits on the infographic, and you'll see a bump in sales. The other cool thing that you can do too, that I like highlighting, is even if your product's not made in the USA, Canada, or wherever, you can still put that you're a local small business, and you can still put like the American flag, Canadian flag right on the listing. Again, going through the Pinion videos of like, hey, what do you think about this listing? Like, I can almost predict like 7-8 times out of 10, people will mention like, oh, cool, the American flag type thing. Like, oh yeah, it's local. Yeah, this is great, right? So even if your product's not made in the US, still throw that American flag on there. Say you're a small business, and you'll resonate. You'll get that emotional response from people. So another simple one, a logo test. So we were just figuring out, I think the one on the left was the original logo, or and we wanted to see like, hey, maybe we can make it a little bit better. And I
You made
didn't
both
think
of
there'd
these,
be a
actually.
big, what's that?
You made both of these.
Did I? Right
Yep.
on. So with this test, I didn't expect there to be much of a difference because it's not that different of a logo. But in this case, yeah, there was actually a big preference for one of them, which was interesting to me. I wasn't expecting this. A lot of times, if the variations are similar, you get kind of a closer to a 50-50 output. But in this case, yeah, people did really like the other one. So this one, I think this one's going to be pretty obvious, right? So obviously showing the product with people in there always works better. Cool little hacky thing we did here as well was obviously it has to be isolated on white. So the towel there was just photoshopped in to make sure the whole image was isolated on white. So we're not against anything with Amazon's TOS. This one I really like. So this product was one of the original big products of mine. I ended up doing over $1 million in sales through its life cycle. These were some of the ideas and options that I was thinking of putting out there. Anyone want to vote on which one do they think won? So the first one is just 3 bands altogether. Second one was Xing out the mosquito, so you're getting rid of the thing. And then third one is the thumbs up with the product's basically a mosquito repellent band. If you didn't see that from the title there. Anyone want to comment on which one they think would win?
So all the chats coming in. I said the third one with the hand and the human element, and everybody else is saying that as well.
Oh, right on. Okay. So personally, I thought the X would do the best, right? Because you're actually like getting rid of the thing that you're trying to get rid of. But yeah, sure enough, the hand did the best. And yeah, like I mentioned, the product did over $1 million in sales. So packaging test, we saw this kind of earlier as well, where basically the darker packaging stood out and people preferred it. So again, how do you actually split test? There's a bunch of different softwares. We're talking about ProductPinion today. And one thing I did want to show you with ProductPinion with split testing, we do something a little bit different. So you can, for example, do a standard poll. So standard polls are basically you just upload 2 options. You can do either text, images, you can do a whole bunch at once, right? But something that's more interesting that we can do is what we call an Amazon search simulation, or AS for short. It's an unfortunate acronym, but kind of works, makes you remember it. What happens with this, it's pretty cool. You can actually control and create a simulated search simulation, any variables you want. So I have something already set up here. So essentially you can the details from Amazon. You can import whatever ASINs you want, and then you can also manually add products. So if you don't even have your listing yet, you can actually create what looks like an Amazon listing and see how you'll compete with the other guys there. So just for example, this is what it'll look like for someone doing the test. So it looks very much like it's Amazon. And something interesting that you can do, and hopefully we can launch it now, and you can control, if you want to show the star ratings or not, the number of views, the price, any variable you want it to control for, you can actually do that. Here, what I'm going to do is see if there's a difference between selling it with a coupon and selling it just as a sale price. And we can actually launch this and see if we get some results real quick. So let's say, for example, on this listing, it's going to be on sale for $5 less. And then on this listing, we're going to add a coupon for $5. Right? So basically $14.97, $19.97, $5, preview it. Right? So now basically it's the same price, but we're going to see what people actually prefer. Do they prefer the coupon, or do they prefer the actual, just being on sale price? Okay, so we go next. For demographics, let's just put 50 and hit next, and then we'll launch it. Cool. Now, while results are coming in for that, were there any questions on the split testing side of things?
That is pretty brilliant that you have the Amazon simulation, and I'm sure you've tested it before. What's better, a $1 off coupon or a percentage coupon? Have you tested that?
That's a good one. You know what? I haven't. I've tested the this sort of test before, where it was like $1 off versus the sale price. And interestingly enough, a lot of people, well, I don't want to ruin it, but we'll see what happens on this one. That's a good question. That's another good one we can test.
So when you create this test, does it email your list of users to the first 50 to take it? get paid.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it creates massive scarcity. So these probably get done within like 20 minutes.
Within definitely, I'd say within the hour, it'll be completed, and we'll have some data to play with. Yep.
I think what you could do with this is create kind of a split testing SOP and show like what's better, dollar versus percentage, or what you should be split testing first. I know we kind of created an SOP together on what you should be split testing and when and how. Yet, if you're wondering like where to start with this, the main image is the main thing to start with, because that's going to drive the most results for you.
100%.
I have a quick question. So, how do you avoid, and maybe this isn't a problem at all, but how do you avoid like testers that might be lazy, that essentially pull it up and they just select the first option, or is that avoided because you ask for an explanation?
Yeah, so exactly. So we'll ask them also, like, why did you select what you did? There's a character count minimum. And for example, if it's not a good explanation or they're kind of out to lunch, you can flag that response. So you'll automatically get that credit back. Plus, if that tester gets enough flags, they get booted out. So they're incentivized to, do a good job at least picking what they have. Now, the other way, behind the scenes, the way it works too is it's not that they have to answer really quick or they don't get paid. They just have to accept the assignment right away. So it's not like they're in a rush to complete it in order to get paid. They just have to accept the assignment. They have a certain number of hours to then complete it and then to do it. So it's not like, oh, I have to do this really quick so I get paid and the results aren't great. They still have more than enough time to actually, they have more than enough time to actually complete it and, do a good job with their thoughts.
I have a question as well. Are there any trends that you see just across the board with Amazon sellers?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's quite a few tests that see win all the time. So for example, that sequence benefit one is a big one. Another one which I learned from the name's escaping me, but another test that we were trying was putting in an extra hang tag or modifying your packaging to actually say the main keyword that you want to rank for. So for example, if you're selling like a baking pan, you have a picture of the baking pan, and then the label that goes on the baking pan literally says like oven safe baking pan, and then the brand and logo is in a smaller spot. And that works because people are searching for something. If they see the words that they're already searching for, they're more likely to click into that. So that's a cool one that I'm going to try out in my as well, just to see what happens. The other one with mentioning like the USA, Canada flags, that sort of thing, that's saying that you're a small business, that you're a local small business, helps as well. It's also category specific, but the idea here is basically you want to interrupt the pattern on Amazon. So anything you can do to be different than what your search results look like is great. So for example, if you're doing a supplement, I would make sure that the bottle cap is opened and maybe it's on a weird angle, like something that's different than everyone else out there. Somebody else was looking, like basically selling a cabinet, right? It was a wall-mounted cabinet. All the other listings, all the other search results had like a whole bunch of crap on the shelf on the cabinet. And my suggestion was like, well, hey, maybe just show off the cabinet, right? And it would stand out to be more clean, more modern, that sort of thing. So very industry specific, and that's why it helps to test. But basically, whatever someone's doing, whatever someone else is doing, you want to do something completely different to stand out. The one that comes to mind too is I call it the bumper speed bump word. So obviously, keywords at the beginning of your title are mission critical, super important. I like to do is throw in a keyword at the beginning. This is a little controversial because it doesn't help you with your SEO efforts on Amazon, but I like to throw in a keyword that's weird, that someone doesn't typically read all the time, right? And by doing that, if someone's scrolling along, they'll stop. They'll be like, oh, that's different, and maybe it'll catch their attention. So for example, one of the products I sell are simple luggage tags. I'll put indestructible as my first word in the listing, even though not a lot of people are going to be searching specifically for indestructible luggage tags. It's an interesting word enough that people will hopefully stop the scroll and look into my listing versus the others.
Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. So we actually already got results coming in. Interestingly enough, people are picking It's showing the initial lower price, right? So people are actually picking the one that doesn't have the coupon. They want to see the one that has the full lower price. So not necessarily to say that, don't do coupons. I think coupons actually work really well. Another way to do this test is have your listing with the coupon in comparison to your other competitors that are in there as well.
Interesting. The strike through price is more effective than the green badged coupon.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So the last thing that we'll talk about it really quick is Amazon's Manage Your Experiments tool. So it works hand in hand with a software tool like ProductPinion. Basically, you want to be using Amazon's tool, but with ProductPinion, you're doing high tempo testing to kind of figure out what will worth testing with Amazon's, and I'll show you in a second why that's important. So what's Manage Your Experiments? Basically, it's the built-in split testing tool for, you have to have brand registry to be using it, and you have to have a listing that has enough traffic. So if you're just starting, can't necessarily use it because it'll just take a really long time to get any kind of substantial results. Important because Amazon knows how important split testing is, right? They're doing it all the time on their own site. And big pros, obviously, it's free. You're getting actual real Amazon data, super easy to set up as well. But one of the cons is that it does take a long time. So minimum is 1 month, but typically they recommend it going for up to 2 months, or they'll just let it run until you get statistical significance, which can be like even longer than that. You don't get any of the qualitative feedback, and like I mentioned, if it's a new listing, you won't get enough traffic to make it work, and you have to have very different content to make it work as well too. There's actually upload your variations. They'll actually do some sort of background check to make sure that the test or the content's different enough to make it to be able to go forward with testing. With it, you can test everything from the main image, the titles, the A+ content, and bullet points. You can do the description if you don't have the if you don't have the A+ content just yet. And what's interesting is Amazon actually has a list of 5 things that they recommend testing themselves. So this is in one of their official help docs. The number 1 idea to test is actually reducing the product title. So instead of the big drawn out titles that have all the keywords in there, you can actually try reducing it to under 100 characters to reduce the noise, encourage more customers to visit your detail page. We actually see this quite a bit with Pinion videos as well. When someone's looking at search results, some people will actually just skip like all the listings that aren't, no, I'm not even talking about keyword stuffed where it's like really badly like keyword. Just some of the listings that have so many really long, people just glaze over it, and it kind of goes in their head like, oh, this is a spammy listing, I don't want to click in there. And they'll actually look for ones that have kind of like a short-ish title. And Amazon knows their stuff. So if Amazon's telling you this, it's definitely something I would be testing in your listing. Another one, I mean, this one's pretty obvious. Try just using lifestyle imagery versus standard product imagery, right? So Amazon's telling you to do more lifestyle. Use a comparison chart in your A+ content. Makes sense, right? Being able to show the different options. I mean, I use the comparison chart to show my other products. I think a lot of people will do it that way as well. And create a product imagery to help your product brand stand out from the competition. Yeah, this one's a bit more generic. Thanks, Amazon. We kind of got that. Highlighting one set of features versus a different set also kind of makes sense. And the way to get that data, again, is by asking shoppers, which benefit is the most important to you, and making that the emphasis of your listing. So yeah, with that is basically Amazon testing, more or less, in not so much a nutshell. But yeah, hope you got some ideas from it, and yeah, happy to answer whatever questions might come up.
That was great. Thanks, Matt. I learned a lot. I consider myself a split tester. I split test all the time, and I learned a lot. So I'm sure everybody else did, and I speak for everybody else. All right, Matt, appreciate you being on. Take care, everyone. Hey, make sure you check out this next video. If you enjoyed this content, you're going to love this next video that I handpicked for you. And what else do they need to do? Like this video and make sure you subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed this content.